I'm Susi Hamilton. With me on the couch is Ute Vollmer-Conna. She's a medical researcher here at the University of New South Wales. Ute, you came to it in a pretty interesting way though. I understand you've been a shepherd, you were a physiotherapist, and now you're a medical researcher. How did that come about?
Well, it's a bit of a long story, but when I was very young, just about 15, I left school due to not excellent performance, to say the least. And then I was trying to think what I should do. And I've always loved sheep, and I wanted to be a shepherd. But really, shepherding was off the list very quickly because they asked me to slaughter the animals, which I didn't want to do. And what I then actually did was carpentry. So I did carpentry for about 2 years. And then that was a bit too chauvinistic in those days. In the early 70s, I was the only woman who was doing it, and so that was a little bit challenging. So then I moved because I always liked sport and I liked people. I, in some windy fashion, ended up to be accepted to do physiotherapy at a hospital in Stuttgart. And I did that for about 4-5 years. And then I migrated to Australia. And in Australia, there was suddenly the opportunity to start again all over. And even though I didn't have an HCC, I was able to get to university to do a science degree.
And medical research, you're in a very specialist area. You're in an area called psychoimmunology. Can you explain what that is?
Yes, it's a very new field in medicine. It's only about 20 years old. And it sort of stems from the very old fascination with the mind and the body. You know, does the mind affect the body or vice versa? But only about perhaps 25 years ago, scientists could actually demonstrate that there was a connection so that neurons and neural pathways from the brain can actually communicate with organs and tissues in the body, and vice versa. If anything happens in the body, there are ways in which the message gets to the brain and then the brain changes accordingly.
Ute, you've also done some other very interesting research in the area. I know that you've looked at alpha males. I know that that's very common in...
We all look at alpha males.
It's very common to talk about alpha males in the animal community, but in humans you're looking at them.
Yeah. That stemmed from my brother is a bit of an alpha male, and I noticed that when he, after work, threw his t-shirts on the floor, it had a huge impression on all the animals in the neighborhood. They used to run a mile when they could get a whiff of his t-shirt. And so I thought initially it would be a great idea to use his t-shirts to fend off intruders, for example, outside the house. You know, if you had t-shirts and perhaps some old boots, then if a potential intruder would come, that there would, you know, subliminally be diverted away from my home because they knew there was an alpha male.
And what have you found so far?
Well, it's still a work in progress, but we had one study, one run, where we had very promising findings seem to indicate that, yes, that people can do that. But we're still working on it because we didn't get it quite right the first time, so we're running a second study to get it right this time.
Ute, it's been fascinating. Thank you so much. And join me next time for On the Couch.